Look up in the sky! It's an asteroid! It's a... is that a whale? No, it's Rosie O'Donnell, our hero of the day!
Wherever Rosie O'Donnell's gone, she's probably eating a leprechaun. She's our hero of the day for leaving America if Trump won and relocating to Ireland, where she's still not funny. So many celebs say they're going to do it but never do, but does she have any regrets?
I have no regrets. Not a day has gone by that I thought it was the wrong decision. I was welcomed with open arms. I knew after reading Project 2025 that if Trump got in, it was time for me and my non-binary child to leave the country.
Rosie O'Donnell, a self-proclaimed beacon of bravery, hailed by some as a hero for actually following through on her dramatic pledge to abandon the United States for Ireland after Donald Trump's unexpected victory, vehemently insists she harbors no regrets. Not a single solitary day has passed, she confidently claims, where she doubted the profound wisdom of her decision, her public justification, a profound, almost apocalyptic fear of Project 2025, and a primal, urgent need to protect her non-binary child from the perceived existential threat of a Trump administration. Yet, if genuine disaster were to somehow gain a voice, manifest itself as a widely followed social media account, and harbor a deeply personal, inexplicably venomous feud with the very concept of common sense, it would sound precisely, unequivocally like Rosie O'Donnell after decades of relentless public meltdowns, an unending series of highly publicized controversies, and a consistent pattern of career missteps. One might reasonably expect a glimmer of self-awareness, a whisper of humility to finally surface. Instead, she has doubled down with an almost terrifying conviction, seemingly convinced that sheer unadulterated volume somehow possesses the alchemical power to transmute even the most outlandish delusion into an undeniable, irrefutable wisdom. But what exactly is the true underlying force that propels this relentless, almost pathological need for conflict? And what truly profound, uncomfortable truth did this very public unraveling ultimately expose about her deepest, most guarded vulnerabilities? The answers are far more disturbing than a simple political statement.
We are about to see Miranda, the character played by Cynthia Nixon, who is so annoying, in bed with a virgin nun played by Rosie O'Donnell. I just threw up a little in my mouth. Go ahead, roll it.
Are amazing.
Oh,
I have never experienced anything like that.
Ew.
that's a nice way to wake up.
Oh, you are really, really something.
And?
Oh my God, yes. It felt so, I don't know, electric, and yet still so natural. I never dreamed my first time could be both those things.
First time?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God. I'm so grossed out, Emily. You have to talk. I can't.
Mr. Trump, one of the things people love about you is you speak your mind and you don't use a politician's filter. However, that is not without its downsides, in particular when it comes to women. You've called women you don't like fat pigs, dogs, slobs, and disgusting animals. Your Twitter account...
Only Rosie O'Donnell.
Her ceaseless, almost desperate quest for continued relevance in an ever-changing entertainment landscape has led to some truly uncomfortable, even jarring moments. None have resonated with such widespread discomfort, perhaps, as her recent forays into the realm of acting, particularly one scene that became instantly infamous. Imagine, if you can bear it, the character Miranda, portrayed by the perpetually annoying Cynthia Nixon, caught in a shockingly awkward, almost viscerally uncomfortable embrace with a character described as a virgin nun, brought to life by none other than Rosie O'Donnell herself. The sheer, overwhelming cringe was palpable, radiating through screens and leaving viewers squirming, a testament to her unique, almost unsettling ability to make even a fictional, intimate moment feel like a profoundly uncomfortable public invasion of personal space. Rosie's entire public brand has, over the years, calcified into that archetypal, perpetually angry aunt at Thanksgiving dinner, the one who arrives bringing absolutely nothing but a litany of complaints, who then proceeds to hijack every single conversation with unsolicited, often deeply inappropriate trauma dumps, and who, despite her utter lack of contribution, still belligerently demands to take home every single leftover. Witnessing her increasingly frantic attempts to remain tethered to the fraying edges of the spotlight is akin to watching someone repeatedly, almost ritualistically, crash their own car into a brick wall, only to then proudly, defiantly declare the wreckage a groundbreaking avant-garde piece of performance art. This isn't merely about questionable acting choices or a series of bad roles. It's a deeply uncomfortable, unsparing window into a desperate, almost pathological need for attention, validation, and relevance, no matter the profound, self-inflicted cost to her own rapidly diminishing dignity.
But once you've decided against all evidence and reality that you are the good guy, you can excuse anything. They even push the myth that Musk is in it for himself. Have you seen Tesla's stock lately? It's lower than Rosie O'Donnell's testicles. Slow. Wow, she's nuts. Hey. Apparently America couldn't be happier, but like I said, she's our hero of the day for doing what so many other celebs don't have the guts to do. Wow, first Ellen, now Rosie. Makes you wonder what lesbian will leave next. Julie, she seems miserable, and it doesn't really matter where she goes. She's trying to get away from whatever is inside her, because I looked at her and I go like, wow, she has changed.
Her ceaseless, almost desperate quest for continued relevance in an ever-changing entertainment landscape has led to some truly uncomfortable, even jarring moments. None have resonated with such widespread discomfort, perhaps, as her recent forays into the realm of acting, particularly one scene that became instantly infamous. Imagine, if you can bear it, the character Miranda, portrayed by the perpetually annoying Cynthia Nixon, caught in a shockingly awkward, almost viscerally uncomfortable embrace with a character described as a virgin nun, brought to life by none other than Rosie O'Donnell herself. The sheer, overwhelming cringe was palpable, radiating through screens and leaving viewers squirming, a testament to her unique, almost unsettling ability to make even a fictional, intimate moment feel like a profoundly uncomfortable public invasion of personal space. Rosie's entire public brand has, over the years, calcified into that archetypal, perpetually angry aunt at Thanksgiving dinner, the one who arrives bringing absolutely nothing but a litany of complaints, who then proceeds to hijack every single conversation with unsolicited, often deeply inappropriate trauma dumps, and who, despite her utter lack of contribution, still belligerently demands to take home every single leftover. Witnessing her increasingly frantic attempts to remain tethered to the fraying edges of the spotlight is akin to watching someone repeatedly, almost ritualistically, crash their own car into a brick wall, only to then proudly, defiantly declare the wreckage a groundbreaking avant-garde piece of performance art. This isn't merely about questionable acting choices or a series of bad roles. It's a deeply uncomfortable, unsparing window into a desperate, almost pathological need for attention, validation, and relevance, no matter the profound, self-inflicted cost to her own rapidly diminishing dignity.
The herpes virus. I'm sorry, Exhibit A. Here is Rosie O'Donnell bitching and moaning about her favorite person, Donald Trump. I think this is before she moved. I can't keep track of where she's living in the world to avoid him. Watch.
Well, hey, everybody, it's Friday all day, as my Nana would say. And look what I have on my lip. Everybody's been saying, you have herpes all this time, and I never had a cold sore in my life. And now I have a cold sore. And it makes me think that perhaps this weird pimple that had a tiny little head was a cold sore too. And so I talked to my doctor today, and I did a video telehealth. And they said that it's not a cold sore, it's some reaction to the sun.
Everybody hates her. That's the same thing with Rosie. You know why she's leaving, right? We know why she's leaving. It's literally an ego trip. Once nobody likes you, you just leave.
So when are you leaving, Jesse?
It's such mundane commentary. Oh, we agree. You're so enlightened. Oh, I agree with her. Oh, shut up. She's lying to you. She's not leaving because of her. By the way, if you keep your home in America, you're not moving.
The very genesis of Rosie's enduring public persona, particularly the deep-seated, almost obsessive feud she has cultivated with Donald Trump, has, over the years, become her singular defining characteristic. She meticulously constructed and then relentlessly pursued an entire career, a very public identity, built upon a greatest hits collection featuring what have become timeless classics. The anguished, screaming into the void, the self-exculpatory, my career wasn't my fault, and of course, the perennial chart-smashing anthem of victimhood, blame Trump and literally everyone except me. This profound, almost impenetrable self-deception, this unshakable, deeply ingrained conviction that she is perpetually, unequivocally the good guy in every scenario despite an overwhelming mountain of contradictory evidence, has allowed her, in her own mind, to excuse every controversy, every public misstep, every deeply regrettable outburst. But then, armed with an arsenal of irrefutable receipts, an air of exasperated, collective rolled eyes, and the sheer, almost superhuman patience of two individuals who have demonstrably survived far too many of Rosie's public meltdowns, Greg Gutfeld and Megyn Kelly strategically stepped into the very public fray. What they unleashed upon her wasn't merely a series of pointed criticisms, it was a surgical, deeply unflattering dismantling that cut precisely and ruthlessly to the very core of her constructed public identity, exposing a shocking, deeply uncomfortable reality that had long been hinted at but never so brazenly laid bare.
Rosie O'Donnell told CNN it's heartbreaking to watch Donald Trump destroy the country from her new home of Ireland. Meanwhile, Ireland told CNN it's heartbreaking that there's not enough Guinness to make Rosie O'Donnell look pretty. Rosie O'Donnell apologized to Ireland's Prime Minister for overshadowing his visit to the White House. She also apologized for overshadowing the Western Hemisphere. That's a fat joke. So currently, the Democrat Party's brand is about as appealing as Rosie O'Donnell river dancing in a thong. It's so bad even Bill Maher doesn't think we'll ever see a Democrat president again.
Greg Gutfeld, with his signature, almost predatory blend of razor-sharp wit and a dismissive, utterly withering sarcasm, approached the entire bewildering situation like an exasperated substitute teacher who had simply reached the absolute limit of his patience with the incorrigibly disruptive class clown. He cast one quick, appraising look at Rosie's latest sprawling, incoherent public thought dump and, without hesitation, delivered a cutting, deeply humiliating dismissal, effortlessly comparing Tesla's stock performance to being lower than Rosie O'Donnell's testicles. It was a moment of raw, unfiltered Gutfeldian humor that perfectly encapsulated the widespread public exhaustion, the collective weariness with her constant antics. He didn't just offer a critique, he relentlessly ridiculed her very intellectual foundation, her perceived lack of coherent thought, likening her rambling, often nonsensical online takes to the bewildering, often meaningless pronouncements found in fortune cookies at a dive bar. Confusing, inevitably greasy to the touch, and ultimately profoundly disappointing. Engaging with her online posts, he quipped with a dry, knowing smirk, was akin to getting hopelessly stuck in a seemingly endless group chat with a perpetually drunk raccoon who had, to everyone's astonishment, somehow stumbled upon and become inexplicably obsessed with Wikipedia. His scathing assessment transcended mere political disagreement. It was a damning, almost brutal commentary on her perceived lack of intellectual coherence, her profound, almost pathological inability to grasp even the most basic tenets of self-awareness. But Gutfeld's sharp, incisive barbs were merely the bracing opening act, the appetizer for the much more substantial, utterly devastating main course that Megyn Kelly had meticulously prepared and was about to serve.
It's too upsetting.
Anybody wanted
Donald Trump
that.
would never inflict herpes on Rosie O'Donnell. I think he's made that very clear.
Since Eliana refuses to play, Emily, I've got another soundbite for you.
I didn't even know Sex and the City was back on the air. I saw it when
it's happening. You have to react live to the herpes. I'm sorry.
And I was like, oh, you know what? The culture stuff, that's Emily's bailiwick anyway.
Here we go. Here we go. Here's another beauty. This is Rosie in another scene singing to Miranda. Enjoy.
Because I knew you
Because I knew it, I have been changed for good.
It's from Wicked.
I take Eric.
Go ahead. Some comedy, finally. Finally, Rosie O'Donnell is back with comedy.
Megyn Kelly, widely revered for her unyielding, incisive questioning and her almost surgical precision in dismantling even the most convoluted of arguments, did not simply offer criticism to Rosie. She performed a complete, unsparing dissection of her entire public persona. It was an almost mesmerizing spectacle, akin to watching a powerful, graceful lioness effortlessly correct the clumsy, misguided attempts of a bewildered raccoon trying to deliver a profound TED Talk. Kelly, with an almost clinical detachment, viewed Rosie not as a legitimate political commentator, nor as a genuine comedian, but rather as a living, breathing cautionary tale, wrapped, perhaps incongruously, in Crocs. She pulled absolutely no punches, delivering a stark, unforgettable declaration that Rosie's constant, repetitive public meltdowns were emphatically not a movement, it's a meltdown on repeat, the herpes virus. This stark, almost brutal, and certainly unforgettable comparison powerfully highlighted the pervasive, almost cyclical, and deeply irritating nature of Rosie's public outbursts, vividly illustrating how her insatiable need for validation and constant attention invariably leads to an unfortunate, almost embarrassing degree of self-exposure. Kelly then, with the precision of a seasoned archaeologist, began to peel back the layers of Rosie's career, questioning what, precisely, she is truly famous for now, beyond those ubiquitous, unfiltered Instagram stories that, as Kelly so eloquently put it, look like they were shot with a potato and fueled by rage and expired NyQuil. The public, whether they were prepared for it or not, was about to bear witness to a celebrity laid utterly bare, her entire carefully constructed brand exposed as nothing more than a seemingly never-ending cycle of manufactured outrage, self-pity, and unaddressed inner turmoil. The highly publicized and overtly dramatic Ireland move swiftly became yet another pivotal chapter in Rosie's sprawling, self-written narrative of perpetual victimhood and relentlessly projected anger. Her subsequent public apology to Ireland's Prime Minister for supposedly overshadowing his visit to the White House, followed by her own deeply sarcastic quip about overshadowing the Western Hemisphere, unintentionally but profoundly revealed an almost pathological degree of self-obsession, a truly staggering sense of self-importance that few could fathom. Greg Gutfeld, with his characteristic dry wit, wryly observed that Rosie, it would appear, wakes up every single morning and, with an almost ritualistic dedication, spins a wheel of outrage, her daily target, with an almost unerring accuracy, being anyone and everyone who possesses a functioning career or a working filter. She has, whether intentionally or not, become the unwitting, deeply uncomfortable mascot of what inevitably transpires when an unchecked gargantuan ego collides with a rapidly dwindling fan base and an almost comical surplus of unmanaged free time. Her increasingly strained attempts at comedy, once a source of her fame, now strikingly resemble forced, uncomfortable motivational speeches delivered by an intensely bitter gym teacher who, it seems, was unceremoniously fired mid-sentence. The punchlines, if one could even call them that, have mutated into thinly veiled sob stories, desperate pleas for sympathy in disguise. It's an unsettling spectacle, akin to watching a clown, with tears streaming down its painted face, perform in slow motion while mournfully holding a sign that pathetically implores, "Please, laugh. I'm still famous." This disturbing transformation into a figure of public pity rather than humor begs a critical, unspoken question. If the act of standing for prolonged periods of time while being subjected to a chorus of boos from an unimpressed audience is not, by any stretch of the imagination, considered a form of cardio, then what, precisely, keeps her compelled to step back into the harsh, unforgiving glare of the public arena? This brings us, finally, to the truly shocking truth, the dark secret that Rosie O'Donnell, perhaps entirely inadvertently, exposed for all the world to see on live television. Her profound, debilitating inability to escape her own relentless internal turmoil. She once, in a moment of what seemed like genuine vulnerability, claimed to be fundamentally misunderstood, a sentiment that Megyn Kelly, with her characteristic razor-sharp intellect, immediately, decisively countered. Kelly articulated with chilling clarity that misunderstood is when someone confuses your quiet for snobbery. You're about as misunderstood as a foghorn in a library. The fundamental problem, then, is not and has never been a lack of comprehension on the part of the public. On the contrary, it is a profound, almost uncomfortably deep understanding of her perpetual misery, her profound inability to find inner peace, and her absolute refusal to take any semblance of personal accountability for her own actions and reactions. Her repeated, almost desperate attempts to rebrand herself as a sincere, compassionate advocate for mental health clash spectacularly, almost comically, with her consistently unhinged, publicly erratic behavior, rendering her earnest appeals as utterly ineffective as asking a tornado for weather advice. Her hot takes, those rambling, often nonsensical pronouncements she constantly offers, are, in their purest form, nothing more than recycled Facebook memes dipped generously in ego and then microwaved haphazardly in delusion. The very core of her dark secret isn't some hidden crime or a scandalous past event. It is rather a relentless, self-sabotaging pattern of projecting her deep, unaddressed inner chaos and emotional disarray onto the world, transforming every single public interaction into a dramatic, often unsettling reading of her personal diary, a bizarre spectacle where logic goes to die and reason is never, ever invited. The sprawling, often bewildering saga of Rosie O'Donnell, spanning from her dramatic, politically charged exit from the United States to her seemingly endless, relentlessly pursued public feuds, stands as a profound, almost biblical cautionary tale. She serves as a stark, living embodiment of what inevitably transpires when an unchecked, gargantuan ego collides with a rapidly dwindling fan base and, perhaps most tragically, an overwhelming surplus of unmanaged, unproductive time. Her comedy specials, once a cornerstone of her career, have, as we have observed, devolved into what can only be described as sob stories in disguise, poignant, often uncomfortable pleas for sympathy disguised as humor. Her public appearances, increasingly infrequent and often bizarre, have become tragic mixes of desperate, almost plaintive queries like, "Remember me?" and the more accusatory, bewildered, "Why am I not booked anywhere?" The simple, unvarnished answer, as both Greg Gutfeld and Megyn Kelly so brutally and effectively illuminated, is painfully clear. No one, or at least very few, truly desires to watch a grown woman descend into a public meltdown, particularly when she presents it as if it were some groundbreaking avant-garde new art form. You cannot, it turns out, scream your way back into relevance. She tried that tactic exhaustively, and it landed her precisely where she is now. What then does this relentless, almost pathological need for constant public validation, coupled with a complete, almost terrifying inability to engage in even the most basic forms of self-reflection, truly reveal about the profound and often brutal cost of celebrity? What does it expose about the overwhelming, crushing burden of living a life that appears to be entirely, utterly consumed by a seemingly endless, self-perpetuating cycle of outrage and unaddressed inner turmoil? The true dark secret, it becomes chillingly clear, is not some hidden transgression from her past, but a perpetually unaddressed, deeply uncomfortable present, continually unfolding, raw and unfiltered for all the world to witness, day after agonizing day.